Why do you have the camera on? Why am I on camera right now?
Repeat what you just said. I want a record of this.
So Kaiju Table Battles is going to be a legacy game. When you finish a match, there's going to be a new monster with new mechanisms, and I think that will really help with like the pacing of the complexity of the game. And I think it will really help with the meta narrative of like queer community and identity and like self growth and transition. You pointed out that print-on-demand publishers don't typically do legacy games, because that would mean we would have to sort all the cards and counters by hand, put them in the envelopes personally by hand for every single copy of the game. I'm already dreading this. Like, sorting these cards and the counters and putting them in the envelopes, like, is also going to be really monotonous and, like, really fiddly, and it's just, I'm going to hate it. I'm going to hate every second of it, but I feel like will make the game better.
You're dreading this.
Mm-hmm.
You're hating it already.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to complain about this, right?
No.
Any point? Never.
When have I ever complained about
Never,
anything?
ever. You're on camera now. Remember this. You're never going to complain about this. Hey, Mabel, what are you doing?
I'm putting things in the envelopes for Kaiju Table Battles.
Are you having fun?
No?
You have anything to say about that?
I mean, I have something I want to say about it. I want to very badly say something about this.
Are you going to say anything about it?
No? Monsters have always been metaphors. And big monsters traditionally represent big, scary things. Like the atom bomb, environmental collapse, colonialism, exploitation. They take these shapeless terrors and give them a shape that we can punch. It's cathartic. But when I was a kid, all that was over my head. In fact, I wasn't really scared of the monsters, because the monsters were the first things I saw that felt like me. So every time you open an envelope, there's a new monster. And there also are cards for your previous monsters, because every time your community grows, every time you find out something about someone, you find out something about yourself. That's the kind of conceit there. And also each envelope has like a little meditation on queerness and identity.
It had to leave that place. It was so small, and so were the people. They wanted it to be small too. Worse, they wanted it to like being small. Sometimes it pretends it had always rebelled. But the truth is, sometimes it was quite comfortable being small. And sometimes it was terrified of being anything else. That was what did it. It could see the future in front of it, a prison of smiles and tradition swallowing it up. It could see itself climbing willingly into the mouth and closing the jaws. And so, one black starless night, it left the small place it was born and its small people in search of something bigger. I've designed over 70 games, but only 8 of them have my name on it. The rest are credited to a person that I was pretending to be, pretending even to myself. I will always exist in that shadow. It's never going to be clean. There's always going to be an asterisk, and I'm intensely aware of that, especially with this game, which, as much as it is a thing of me, is based on and building on things that were made by my shadow. So the deal with table battles is you roll dice, assign them to cards, pull them off on a future turn to attack or react. There's also a dinosaur version where the dinos are made up of multiple cards, and I've carried that over to this new design, and also added something to a system that's famous for not having movement. Most monsters move a single space per turn, but some can fly or leap or climb on the buildings. Getting next to or away from the enemy is important because we have 2 kinds of attacks here: up-close melee and long-distance breath weapons.
In addition to inflicting damage, attacks have move effects, pushing, pulling, throwing the enemy. Controlling space is vital. An attack might also give the enemy status effects. Bleed, making them more susceptible to damage. Radiation, reducing the power of their attacks. And shock, limiting their ability to move. There are 4 kinds of reactions to attacks. Absorb and block are done on behalf of an adjacent ally, while counter and dodge are used by the target. Absorb redirects an attack of either type. Block cancels a melee attack, and counter hits them back. Dodge gets you out of the way of a breath weapon. These reactions might also give a monster buffs: shields to absorb damage, strength to bolster attacks, and hearts to recover health. As monsters lose health, you'll flip over their cards, revealing stronger versions of each attack, but losing that card's reaction. Some melee attacks become breakers. These attacks can't be blocked and ignore shields. Some breath weapons become supers, which can be used both at a distance and at point-blank range. That up-close version can't be dodged. As in the other Table Battles games, if you can react to an attack, you must. But which reaction you use is up to you. In those games, if you react, you can attack on your next turn, but here, it's just a reacting monster that has this limitation. Their ally can still step in to throw some punches or, fire breath. You know what I did wrong with Dinosaur Table Battles?
Didn't put enough dinosaurs in.
No, there were enough dinosaurs.
No, there were not enough dinosaurs.
What it is that it's that Table Battles thing where you lose a turn if you react, and that's like really frustrating for some people, and that's what is like the core Table Battles. But for the dinosaur version, when I was trying to appeal to like a broader audience and like kids actually don't like losing a turn, it turns out. And the other thing is that the Dinosaur Table Battles, you have 15 different dinosaurs, and they have different powers and abilities and ways they interact, and there's a lot of complexity to hit you with right out of the gate. Like, here, make a decision with these 15 things and how they fit together, and if you get it wrong, you're probably going to lose, and it's overwhelming for some people, right? So it wasn't for you. No. Dinosaur Master Mary Holland. I actually think this game is more complex than the dinosaur one, but it has the advantage of staging that complexity. So you start off pretty simple with only 6 monsters and some pretty basic rules, and over time you're gaining more rules, gaining more monsters, gaining more interactions, which is not really something I've had to do before, because I generally don't design for a broader audience or with like accessibility of play in mind, because I'm very niche. But this is a very expensive game, and it's something where I want to reach a lot of people. I want to maybe help some people see themselves, and so it's important to me that it go bigger. And that's why we're putting all this money and effort and time into it. And I'm terrified, actually. And I feel very exposed, because either this is something that's really ambitious and cool, or it's like really pretentious. And I won't know until people either, buy the game or don't, or like it or don't.